Hey guys, I'm Garrett Shelby. I've been lifting for about a year and a half to 2 years now, and I spend the majority of my free time researching the most optimal ways of gaining fitness and health goals. And I'd like to make a few videos just pretty much of what I've learned over the journey that I've gone through and what I've researched. Now, this video is going to be about the first 4 months I really got into seriously bodybuilding, and I actually gained about 35 pounds in about roughly 4 months. But knowing what I know now, probably half of that 35 pounds was water and fat, where the other half was actually lean mass. Now, this is a disclaimer because the majority of the stuff I did, I don't really agree with now after about a year and a half to 2 years of research and testing the more optimal ways of gaining muscle. But a lot of this information can be really helpful for a beginner lifter who has a hard time actually putting on size in general, because back when I started this, I was coming off cross country in high school when I had a really hard time gaining weight in general. So I can't really recommend a lot of this information to a seasoned veteran lifter, and majority of this information actually came off the other 90-95% of videos on YouTube, which are powered mainly by bioscience. But like I said, for people that are having a hard time putting on size, this information can be pretty helpful. Now let's get started with what I actually did during this 4-month period. Now, to break it down broadly, there's 3 main essential steps you need to do to gain muscle and results. Step number 1, of course, you have to break the muscle down through working out, lifting weights. Everybody knows this. Step number 2 is you need to recover to let your muscles build back up after you just broke them down. Now, step number 3 is proper nutrition. Now, the lines on this one can be pretty blurred depending on each person. I'll get into this in more detail when I get to it, but you need to do all 3 steps all the time. Consistency. If you can't get rid of one and expect any results, you have to have all 3. That's why I call them the 3 essential steps. Now, I'll break this video down into 3 parts, explaining each step in detail of what I did during this period. So we'll start with step 1. Step number 1 is lifting weights. So working out, you have to break the muscles down from the grow back up, right? Now, for me during this time, I was just coming off a cross country season, little skinny kid who was trying to gain as much muscle as possible before track season in the spring. So I had to lift weights, but at the same time, I needed to maintain my cardiovascular shape for track season. Okay, so for the first 2 months that I started lifting, I would have to lift one day, then jog about 3 to 5 miles the next day. Now I keep repeating this: lift, jog, lift, jog, lift, jog. So I wouldn't have any off days during this period. I would kind of consider my jog days as rest days. Now, coming into this, my chest and back were slightly more developed than my arms and shoulders at the time. So this was my workout split. So I would hit chest about 1 to 2 times a week, and I'd hit back just once a week because, like I said, I needed to catch my shoulders and arms up to my chest and back. Then I'd hit shoulders and arms about 2 to 3 times a week during this period. Now, I wouldn't hit legs at all during the first 2 months because I wasn't really interested in legs. I was a runner. I didn't need big bulky legs, and plus I didn't really care. But the next 2 months I would add legs in, and one of the days I would run and lift on the same day. Now, for a beginner lifter who has no one muscle dominating the other, I would even split all the muscle groups. I would do 2 muscle groups a day and keep it consistent. Do chest and triceps together one day, back and biceps another day, maybe shoulders and legs the next, and just keep it nice and even. You don't only emphasize one muscle group if you have an imbalance. So this would have me working out about 4 to 5 times a week. And when I would work out, I would go extremely hard as I could every single time. I would not have much rest in between sets whatsoever. Even if I needed water, I would run to the water fountain, run back just so I could get back to my sets. Now, I would be doing drop sets, supersets, you name it, very high effort, high intensity training. Now, having said that, I would try to make sure my workouts were under an hour, 50 minutes to an hour, because when you're working out extremely hard for over 50 minutes, your body starts releasing cortisol, and cortisol is the stress hormone that makes your body hold on the fat, break down muscle. It's not good. You don't want any of that. So pretty much, in a nutshell, make sure your workouts are under an hour and you're going as hard as you can in that hour so you can get all that muscle breakdown. Now, having said that, that leads me on to the next step, which you need to have time to have your muscles recover so they can build back up. That's the point of working out. You want to break down the muscles so you can rest and recover so they can build back up bigger and stronger. Okay, so this step is neglected by many, many people, including me. I've messed up with this several times. Now, recovery is extremely important. A lot of people have the misconception that you build muscle in the gym. False. You build muscle when you sleep and when you rest. You break down muscle in the gym. It builds up when you rest. Now, sleep. Big deal. Sleep. You should get a minimum of 8 hours. I would aim for 9 to 10 hours. Get as much sleep as you possibly can. This is when you're going to be building the majority of your muscle. Now, it's also important that you don't lift back-to-back muscle groups each day. So if you work chest one day, it needs at least 48 hours until you can work chest next, because your muscles take roughly 40 to 48 hours to be fully recovered before you break them back down again. You don't want to keep breaking down a broken down muscle. That's just not smart. It's not going to build up bigger and stronger. You're just going to keep breaking it down. Now, also, this means you should have about 2 to 3 off days a week, or at least non-lifting days. You want your body to be completely recovered during this, because even when you're working opposite muscle groups, there's still the same muscle groups can still be used as stabilizing muscles, and they still get slightly worked and broken down. So you want about 2 to 3 days a week to just completely let your body recover. Now, a lot of people still think, like I said, the more you lift, the more you're going to gain. False. You need to lift strategically and rest strategically so your body can build. You don't build in the gym, you build when you sleep and rest. Okay, this brings me to my last step, which is probably the most important step, which is nutrition. Now, keep in mind, nutrition differs for each person, and knowing what I know now, I cringe of what I did back when I was doing this 4-month period. But it worked for someone that was just trying to put on as much mass as possible in a short period of time. So this is what I did in that 4-month period. So each day I would eat roughly 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. Now, I know that's extreme, especially for, at the time, 6 foot, 140 pound skinny kid. That's about twice as much as you actually need. But it worked for me at the time. I was trying to gain as much size as I possibly could, and it worked. Now, I didn't track anything, which I do now, but at the time, I was just all in, eat as much as I could, every meal, balanced macros. Now, in a second, I'll give you an example kind of day of what a normal day looked like for me. But yeah, I just ate as much as I could. Now, I was still kind of in the phase where I thought more protein equaled more gains, which I know now is not true, but that's a video for another day. And I would eat a ton of carbs, tons of fat, and I don't know how I did it, but I just ate as much food as I could. So this would be kind of like what the average day would kind of look like for me food-wise. I would have kind of like a breakfast, lunch, like a pre-workout meal, post-workout like shake, like a post-workout meal / dinner, then another snack kind of before I went to bed. Now for breakfast, I would have something like a banana, like an English muffin with peanut butter, like a small kind of like pumpkin muffin kind of thing, really high in carbs, a whole wheat peanut butter sandwich, and then a bowl of oatmeal. And then for lunch, I'd have kind of like this large bag of mixed nuts with like peanuts, pecans, cashews, walnuts, and then I'd throw some raisins in there. And then I would have another banana and 2 more peanut butter sandwiches, mixed greens, a granola bar, and an apple. And then my pre-workout meal would look something like this. I would have like a large bowl of this like granola cereal with milk. It was extremely high in calories, extremely high in carbs. And then I would have another banana with peanut butter on top of that. As you'll see, like I had a lot of bananas, probably like 3 to 4 bananas a day, which is extremely high in sugar. Knowing what I know now, that's a video for another day. And then like my post workout shake, I'll get in the supplements at the end, but it would look something like 2 scoops of a protein powder with milk. It was majority of the time was with this like special like filtered milk, which is probably just marketing, that they would say it had like more protein, and I was all in on that. And then my post-workout meal, so I would rush home after my workout and I would have like a sweet potato, more of that granola cereal, another banana with peanut butter, and then I would make this like big soup kind of thing before, like the week before, and it would have like chicken breast, lentils, beans, rice, bunch of calories, bunch of carbs, bunch of protein. Then I'd have like 2 eggs on top of that. Then before I went to bed, I would have about 2 more eggs, 1 to 2 more eggs, and then about a half cup or 1/4 cup or so of almonds. Now that's an extreme amount of calories, but it worked for me. Now let's talk about the supplements I took during this 4-month period. Now the first about 4 to 6 weeks, the only really supplement I took was protein powder. And then after that, I slowly started adding some more like supplements, that more bioscience that I heard on the internet, which I know now majority supplements not worth your money. They don't work. They're just marketing, try to get you. They just want your money. But these are what I took during that 4-month period, because that's what this video is about. It's not about what's right. It's what I did during this 4-month period. So my protein powder I took was Isopure, which is a pretty popular brand, I would say. I'd take 2 scoops of that post-workout, which is about 50 grams of protein, and that's probably more than my liver could ever handle, but that's what I did. And then I would take an L-arginine supplement, which L-arginine it's like a vascularity enhancer. It helps with blood flow. It helps the dilation of your veins and your arteries. And it can help with getting better pumps in the gym. And then I would take a ZMA supplement. Now a ZMA supplement contains zinc, magnesium, and some B vitamins. Now this supplement's mainly for recovery and some testosterone enhancement, but it's probably placebo, but whenever I took it, I feel like I slept better at night, mainly because magnesium is like a central nervous system calmer, and I always felt like I was recovered the next day, but like I said, it was probably placebo. And then I would take a whole food multivitamin. Now that means, so regular multivitamins, which cheap multivitamins you find at your common drugstore, they literally take the vitamins and minerals, like iron, for example. Think of like an iron rod. They'll literally take iron and put it into the pill, and then people take it and think, oh, I don't have to eat healthy, I'm getting all my needs for the day. When really, I think the number's somewhere like you can only absorb like 20% of that stuff, because your body's not meant to absorb like iron rods. Like it's meant to absorb vitamins from real food, and that's what a whole food multivitamin is. They take real food and usually they like ferment it so it becomes more pure, and the vitamin and mineral percentages and IUs go up, and then they put it in pill form and you take it. So I'll link the one I take down below. It's still the one I use today. I really like that one. And then for pre-workout, which is everybody's favorite, which knowing what I know now, once again, I don't think they're worth the money, not worth the hype, but I did take them when I was doing this period. And the first one I took was C4 Mass, and that's C4, probably the most popular pre-workout. This one was the mass version. Pretty much the only difference with that one is it just had a bunch of sugar in it. They called it like some carb blend thing. I took that one at first. Me and my buddy took it. We really liked it at first. And then we changed to MTS Clash, which is another one. And we liked them at first because we would work out usually toward the end of the day, more toward dinner, and like that 2:30 feeling, like you get kind of tired, so they'd give us a little energy for that time. So it worked in the meantime, but I would say, this is a video for another day, but I'll briefly just mention it. I would say the only, like, especially for pre-workout supplements, the only like main three you need is creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine. Those are the only things that really work. The rest is just filler and fancy words to try to make you buy it. So like, you get the jolt from the caffeine, you get the buzz feeling from the beta-alanine, and then the creatine has a load of different benefits, which I'll talk about that another day. But majority of pre-workouts have those three main ones. And those are pretty much the supplements that I took during that period. Okay, one more quick thing about pre-workouts is, if this is your first time really lifting, I wouldn't recommend taking pre-workouts for at least a month to 2 months of consistent hard lifting, because for beginners, you really have the energy of just like beginning. You don't need the extra jolt yet, especially since you don't know really what routine you're really in and how to really use that energy. Plus, you'll appreciate the pre-workout a whole lot more after you've gone a month or two completely dry, and then it can really take your workouts to the next level, especially it's because of those three supplements I just talked about. So if you just take those three, which is what I recommend, that should really help. But yeah, once again, I wouldn't take them unless you've been already working out consistently for about a month to 2 months. So like I've been saying for the entire video, I can't recommend everything I mentioned to the seasoned veteran lifter who knows what they're talking about, knows what they're doing, but I can recommend it to the people that are beginner lifters who are having a really hard time putting on size and weight. Like I was a skinny cross-country runner who wanted to put on as much weight as possible in a short period of time. And just to briefly summarize what I was talking about, of the 3 steps, step number 1, you need to work out as hard as you can for under an hour, get in, get out, work out intensely, supersets, all the above. You need to go extremely hard as you can. Now, step number 2 is you need to recover. You need to allow time for your muscles to build back up. You don't build muscle in the gym, you build muscle when you recover. Step number 3 is proper nutrition. You need to allow your body to have the proper nutrients it needs so it can build back up. Your body's not going to build back up if it doesn't have the correct tools it wants. Now, what I did is I just ate as much as I possibly could, balanced macros across the board, so big calorie surplus, but it worked for me in the time being. So that was a pretty much brief summary. And then supplements, just don't really worry about them a whole lot. Protein powders are helpful for post-workout, but if you want to take the ones I did, go ahead. And then a whole food multivitamin is also helpful to help fill in the stuff that you didn't get throughout the day. Now, if you don't agree with me on everything I said, that's okay. Don't get offended. I only made this video to help people. But like I said, later I'll be making more videos on more optimal ways, more healthier ways of gaining muscle and just results in general. So subscribe if you want to see more of that later. Just stay tuned, and then you can follow me on my personal Instagram and my fitness Instagram. I'll link those below. Just a heads up, my fitness Instagram isn't very informational, which is part of the reason why I started making YouTube videos, but it's more just kind of like me and my buddies messing around in the gym. But yeah, if you want to know exactly what I did for my workouts, you can follow me on those Instagrams and then just DM me, and then I'll email you or send you just the kind of like a document of everything I did. I hope the video was helpful, and like I said, subscribe if you want to stay tuned. I'll start talking about some more of the research I've been doing recently. And yeah, have a nice day. Hope the video was helpful. See you next time.